Scheduled live. Okay, I see live. We're
Here
good.
we go. Welcome back. Welcome back. We took last week off. Last week we had a situation. Our guest, had death in the family. Definitely, our condolences go up to her. But we have rescheduled that domestic violence episode, coming in April. We know domestic violence month is September, but we definitely rescheduled that for October for breast cancer awareness month. But we got a fan favorite back tonight. We got Miss Dana Michelle back. Dana being Dana. If you missed Dana the first time on the show, I'm gonna let Dana run down her credentials again. Welcome back, Dana.
Hey, Rod, how you doing?
I'm all right.
What's going on?
Nothing, man. Oh, I didn't wear. I wore tree leaves today for you. I wore
I
leaves.
like the tree leaves. I like the tree leaves. That's what's up.
I
That's
wore the
what's up.
leaves, but run your credentials down for us one more time before we get
Credentials.
started.
You're so kind. So my name is Dana, Dana Michelle. I'm the host of Dana Being Dana, which is a local television show on Naperville Community Television. I'm based right outside of Chicago. So shouts out to all my Chicago folks and everybody else tuning in. I am a graduate of Spelman College, and I started a podcast in 2017 about the human connection and different things that bring people together, very similar to Amsterdam Talk, and it got picked up for television in 2019. So I have been running. We are celebrating 30 episodes in October. So in just a few
Mm,
weeks, we will be celebrating our 30th episode on television, which is awesome. So one of the episodes that we did early on, actually, it was if I'm not mistaken, it's my third or fourth episode was on narcissists, the topic of narcissists, because narcissistic personality disorder is a thing, and I think people don't understand what it means, um, and all about that. So I'm here today to talk about it and have a great show. We had so much fun last time when we were talking about dating in the pandemic, and so that's also a thing. And I think dealing with narcissists, whether it be your childhood, being a child of a narcissist, dating a narcissist, working with a narcissist, having a narcissistic uh, friend or sibling or someone or acquaintance, all of those things are relevant to this. Narcissist personality disorder is a thing, and I think it's something that we should talk about so that you can see the signs and learn how to avoid or how to set boundaries with people who exhibit those narcissistic traits. So thank you for having me back. It's good to see everybody, and I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, I didn't have no choice because after we did that first show, they was like, "She gotta come back for narcissism. She gotta come back for it." I'm like, "All right, well, I'll bring her back for it." And now we're here, and we want to talk about narcissism, just like she stated. We're not just talking about narcissism with dating and spouse and marriage. We're talking about a dad, a cousin, a brother, a sister, just how to the cause and effects of what happens with it. And she explained, what it is. So my first question to jump out to you, Dana, would be with a narcissist, do they spearhead every conversation and instantly go to themselves?
No, and that's an interesting point because narcissists in general, and obviously, there are exceptions to every rule per se. So I'm not saying that these things are absolute, but narcissists in general tend to be very charming. They come in and they woo you, they captivate you. They tend to be very charming, and it can be, like I said, it could be in a platonic sense. It could be a parent that you idolize. I think we are in a culture, and we can talk about this later, where we're grooming narcissists. So they don't come in necessarily um, demanding or asserting that everything is all about them, but they really do oftentimes have a magnetic personality and character. I want to make sure that I'm sharing this. Did we put it in a HBCU Lounge Network?
Yeah, I see comments, but I don't see the video with it
Well,
yet.
hey everybody.
So let me look for it real quick, and if I do have it, I can actually tag you in it because
Yeah,
I was looking. You have it?
I don't have it, and I'm
All
trying to
right.
chat group. Um,
So we live over there, brother, for real. Are we live?
we are,
I don't know where you went at,
and
but it,
I am Dana being Dana on Facebook and on Instagram. They said it may not be broadcasting on Facebook because I had folks tuning in on Facebook, so I wanted to make sure that we could share it there. But if not,
well,
we'll figure out how to get it there and get the episode to you. So
well, this what we will do then because I just sent it out from YouTube. So we're gonna say I'm gonna send it to you, and there we go.
okay, let's do it.
And we can send it out that way. If we can't see it on Facebook, like we thought we could see it.
Can I share it?
They said there's an error with Facebook tonight.
Facebook won't let us be great.
No, so we just gonna have to deal with YouTube. Marcus being, him again.
It's on there. I got it. It's
You
on.
got it.
Yeah, it's on Facebook. So I'm going to share it just so that folks can see it and get it.
Okay, yeah, it went live now. I see it now. I see it now.
Okay. Good. We are
All
we
right,
are we
so
are in business. We in the game, baby.
all right, so back to what we let's bring it back. We're talking about narcissism tonight. We brought Miss Dana Michelle back from Dana being Dana. That's from NC-17 TV in Chicago.
NCTV
Oh shit,
17.
NCTV. I'm
That's the naughty show. That's
NCTV.
not what we doing.
I apologize.
Oh, you're all good.
Yeah, and so we're going to jump straight in, to another question. If you missed the first question, we're going to say, do they gaslight you? Explain what gaslighting is for those who don't know, because we
Yep,
want to know, do they get narcissists gaslight you?
absolutely. Because gaslighting, and I'm just trying to make sure that I got this in all the groups. I'm supposed to get it in. All right. Gaslighting is a concept that has revolutionized, my own life and experience because I didn't really understand what it was. And then once I learned what it was, I was like, this makes so much sense. It's ever so clear. Gaslighting is when, and it comes from an old 1940s movie about a man and wife, husband, a couple, where the husband was playing mind games with his wife. And
Okay.
it was about the gas light of their stove, where they would change
Mhm.
it. Somebody said gaslighting. He would turn it off and mess with her mind. So she would come down like, "Did you turn that off?" And he's like, "No, I didn't. I didn't do that. I didn't turn it off." And what it is, gaslighting by definition is when someone is challenging your reality, they're making you think or see or feel like your reality isn't what it is. They don't
Mhm.
validate your reality. They don't validate your experience. And for example, when you say, "Hey, I don't appreciate, Rod, how we were out. I saw you with your hand on that girl's booty. And, I just didn't appreciate that. I'm your girlfriend, blah, blah, blah." And you're like, "That didn't happen. What are you talking about? What do you
Mm.
mean? You didn't see Brenda big booty, and me grabbing her. That's not what happened." And then
Right.
you start questioning your reality. Like, did that really happen? Did I make that up? Was I drinking? Whatever it is, but you start to question your reality bit by bit and slowly but surely. And so gaslighting is when someone tries to tell you that what you're thinking, feeling, and seeing just isn't real. And they make you question your reality. It comes down to, and in the movie, the wife went crazy because she could continuously question her reality. And that's what a narcissist will do to you when you question them or call them to the mat on what they do and your experience of them.
So, what movie was this?
It's called gaslight.
Plain and simple.
Yeah,
So,
and that's
you know,
that's where the term was coined. I see some of my friends in here. What's up, y'all?
so like, I see there is a thin line between gaslighting and a disagreement. Is there like a thin line?
Well, you can gaslight within a disagreement. for example, this is what I was talking about in some of the earlier posts. When you have a disagreement, it doesn't necessarily. Somebody talked about gassing. Gassing is different than gaslighting. Gassing is blowing someone up, puffing them up, giving them life, telling them they're great, you're amazing. I gas my people up all the time. You go, girl. You got this. You got this, fam, son. You got. Gaslighting is different. Gaslighting is
Yeah,
different.
gassing is more positive.
Correct. Gassing is
Gassing is
positive.
more
Gaslighting
positive.
is negative. But when someone is gaslighting you, repeat your question. Ask me your question again.
Oh, is there a thin line between gaslighting and a disagreement?
Yeah. So in disagreements, people who are not narcissists or who are not gaslighting, in disagreements, they're truly looking to gain an understanding, to reach a win-win situation, um, to find a common ground if there is one, and if there's not one, they agree to disagree. Those are evidentiary of a disagreement. When it's about gaslighting, it's a kind of about their way or the highway. When someone's gaslighting you in an argument, they're telling you that what your reality isn't true.
Uh-huh.
They're stating their opinion as fact. Um, they can stonewall you. I found a post which I did to promote the show today. Stonewalling is a typical tactic of a narcissist in an argument, which means they completely shut down. Have you ever caught somebody in a lie, and you've confronted them and they completely just shut everything down, right? They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to confront it. They don't want to discuss it because you've caught them. It's a typical trait of a narcissist to stonewall, which means that they shut down the conversation. They won't entertain. They won't engage,
Uh-huh.
partially because they know they're wrong, but also because it the more they stall, the more they shut you down. They're playing emotional manipulation, because when they create that distance, when they set that boundary, that's what Miss Holmes said. They're intentionally trying to push your buttons. It's exactly right. They're intentionally trying to create that ice,
Right.
because it makes you anxious. It makes you frustrated. It's a tactic used to trigger your emotions. One thing I always say, because my day profession is a lawyer. I'm a lawyer by day, and I do some of these fun things at night. But it's a tactic to throw you off your game. And in strategy, there's no emotion in strategy. You can be strategic or you can be emotional. And so when you're dealing with a narcissist, when you're dealing with someone who is gaslighting you, always try to stay as strategic as you can, because their goal is to trigger you emotionally. And
Right.
one of the ways that you beat a narcissist, and we'll talk about this later, I suppose, is by not being drawn into the emotional game.
Okay. So you did a stonewalling promo to promote the show, and I did a promo of how narcissists apologize. And I know you saw that basically narcissists apologize with no specifics. It's just, I'm sorry for everything. It's no specific, like, I'm sorry because I did blah da 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 da. It's just everything, it's me, it's not you, this is that. This is the bullshit they actually do. So, is that fact or is that just myth how they apologize?
Well, the most authentic and genuine form of an apology is change behavior.
Okay.
The most genuine form of an apology is change behavior. And what that means is that if someone's truly sorry and apologetic for their actions, um, you will see a change in their behavior. A narcissist is usually apologizing, like Gloranda said, because of the way that you feel, or because they got caught, or because you're upset, or because they're trying to get out of the room, or they're trying to get off the phone, or they're trying to move on. And so they're not truly sorry for uh, their wrong, because they don't see that as a wrong. Keep in mind, by definition, narcissists are self-absorbed. They think first and foremost about themselves, and in most cases, they think only about themselves. So that's what makes them narcissistic. And so when it comes to apologizing, oftentimes it's insincere, and it's more so a transition to get out of whatever position they are in. Meaning, I just want to end this phone conversation. I want to get out of the car and go in my house. I want to end the night. I got things to do. I'm just trying to be done here. So I'm sorry is a great way to kind of shut you up, shut you down, appease you momentarily so that I can
Mhm.
kind of escape, particularly if I've been caught, or because oftentimes narcissists tend to be cheaters. Um, but it allows them kind of a get out of jail free card in many ways. But it's oftentimes insincere.
So I get well. I just saw what the Black Marvel, what Brother For Real just put up there. What he just wrote. So I guess we would say narcissists. I would ask. So what you just said and what he just said. So do they lack empathy?
Well, that is actually the difference between a narcissist and a sociopath. Uh, a narcissist tends to be self-absorbed and focused on themselves, and a sociopath is a narcissist, but a narcissist is not exactly a sociopath. So a narcissist uh, is not always a sociopath, but a sociopath is a narcissist. The difference between a narcissist and a sociopath is empathy. Um, Sociopaths lack empathy and are aware of the harm that they cause, and they don't care. A narcissist is so absorbed in themselves that they don't see, oh, I didn't realize you had needs. I didn't realize you had
Mm,
opinions. I didn't realize that you had feelings and wants.
mm,
Um, and they genuinely don't see it because they are so self-absorbed. Where a sociopath is like, oh, I see what your wants are. I see what your needs are, but I don't care. I don't care about the harm that I inflict. Um, Serial killers in the most extreme form uh, are sociopaths because
okay.
they consciously have full awareness of what they're doing, but they don't care. A narcissist just doesn't have the capacity or the bandwidth
Right.
um, to care.
Okay. So they don't have the bandwidth to care. And I mean, I've spoke of this about, just uh, apologizing for just not even a group of things, just apologizing for something they don't even know. They don't get to a specific. So it's just like, I guess you would say, like, since they apologize to non-specifics, that they always think they right. Would that be a case as well? Like they're always right. It's their way or no way.
I mean, I wouldn't say that a narcissist, I mean, they often think that they are superior, right? So by and large, they often think that they're right. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a trait of a narcissist to always insist that they're right, but it's just uh, this notion of superiority, the grandiose behavior. It's very self-serving. So they don't think about other people. They think they're better than other people. Oftentimes, like if you look at kind of and I'm not a therapist, I'm not a social worker, but a lot of times narcissists have what they call an incidental moment, or it's a time in the past where they have felt um, inadequate, or some sort of critical childhood trauma or moment. And
Okay.
narcissism, not that I'm making excuses for it, but narcissism sometimes is a way that people fortify themselves to withstand whatever trauma they're going through. So if you're, for example, if you're bullied as a child and treated very poorly, and you're hurt, one way that you help to heal yourself and move forward is like, I'm not ugly like they say that I am, right? Or I'm not a
Mhm.
horrible basketball player like they say that I am. So I'm going to tell myself that I'm great, that I'm amazing. Oftentimes,
Okay.
yes, insecurity. most narcissism by definition, I think in many ways, is a fragile ego, and oftentimes they have nothing to stand on. So a lot of people, if you hear people dealing in the past, right? We're grown,
Mhm.
right? People are still talking about their high school days, their college days. They were the quarterback, they were the homecoming queen of high school. Things like that. If people are living in the past,
Right.
oftentimes, no shade, my friends, but oftentimes they are. I'm not saying they're narcissists, but when you are grasping for ways to feel adequate, grasping for ways to feel valid or
Right.
important, there's a lack of esteem there.
Mhm.
You're not feeling great about yourself. You're not feeling great about you in 2021. You're thinking about you in 2011 or '01 or '98, and so you puff yourself up in many ways. That's how people get through tough times. Like, forget the fact that I didn't make homecoming queen, right? I'm still great. Forget the fact that I didn't make the basketball team. My mama says I'm cool, right? It's those kinds of things that people puff themselves up in order to withstand and get through tough times. Uh, in our own community, in the Black community, there's a lot of traumas and things involved. Uh, and a lot of people, in many ways become narcissists to withstand truly tough times. If
Right.
there's ever been abuse,
Right.
sexual abuse, physical abuse, it's one way that people endure those traumas by trying to reaffirm themselves, that whatever has happened to them in their lives isn't necessarily their fault.
Okay. So you brought up being bullied as a child. Being bullied as a child. So I want to flip that same person that was bullied as a child and bring them up to adulthood. Now they have children. So I guess is like, are they able to in tune in with their children's feelings, or they just say forget it?
I mean, it just depends on whether or not someone's done the work, right? Like, if you have had trauma or, excuse me, bad experiences that have gone untreated, undiagnosed, um, I'm a big fan of therapy. If you haven't dealt with some of those issues, in many ways, you will pass those on to the next generation and just anybody that you're around. So it
Right.
all depends. If somebody has gone through a traumatic experience and they recognize um, their issues, what has happened, from that, and
Mhm.
how they've learned and grown from that, you can help your children not go through the same experiences or
Right.
or mistakes or whatever happened. You can avoid the negative things happening in the future. Your hair looks great,
Okay.
Rod. You look great. You look
I'm
amazing.
not even. I'm not looking at my head.
We see you. We
Stitches.
all come on, y'all. Give him some high fives. Give him some applause. Tell Rod he's so fine. It's so great.
I'm not here for that. I'm here to do a job like I'm supposed to. But as I was getting ready to say, is it like, does it seem more concerned about the narcissist behavior or your children behavior reflects on him or her than understanding and accepting who your kids are as people? And we could take this two different ways: accepting your kids as people, whether they cross over to the LGBTQ, whatever the letters are at the end, though if they cross over to that nature, or they just end up as failures. Because I had someone say to me this before, and they said, "You have children and you can raise them to be whatever for 18 years. After 18, you don't know what you may get. You can raise them to the best of your ability. But after 18, it becomes you don't know what's going to happen."
Oh yeah. I mean, parenting is an exercise in doing the best that you can to raise good citizens, good people, independent people. Um, and so the problem with narcissism is that narcissism begets narcissism in many ways. And so children of narcissists um, run the risk of being narcissists themselves or codependents. And because it's the environment that you grow up in. And unfortunately, what is a typical trait of a narcissist, and this is sometimes how you can identify narcissistic parents, is that they treat their children like trophies. They treat their
Okay.
children like pawns.
Okay.
When you're at the sports game and you see the parent who's really upset at the soccer game because
Hmm.
their three-year-old missed a goal, could be a narcissistic parent. You know why? Because they see that child's success or failure as a personal affront to them. So a lot of people, and that's what a narcissist does. When you see a parent who's not really engaged, but they take, Halloween pictures and Christmas photos and all of those kinds of things, um, when they see their children as pawns or trophies, right? And any parents out there know and understand that true parenting, real parenting, is one of the most selfless things that you can ever do. When you want to do it right, there's a whole lot of unsexy things that come with parenting. Kids get sick.
Okay. So
Go ahead.
I I don't want to cut you off, but you said sports. So is it like you push your child to be involved in activities that you like and values you have interest in, or or you discourage them or forbid them from doing things like they want to do? Like for instance, say you really engaged in basketball, but your son wants to be a dancer. It's like you
Well, and
don't
that
want him to
depends.
dance.
Yeah, I mean, I love, and it's football season. I love seeing people with their children. One time, and I this kind of crystallized it for me. I saw a kid, and of course, I'm in Chicago, right? So I saw
Soldier
like a
Field.
toddler, like he was like 4 years old. He had to be. It was a picture, so I don't know them, but half of his face was painted in blue paint, navy blue paint, and half of his face was in orange paint. And I was like, look at this kid. He's got to be like 3 or 4 years old. He has no idea, you know, but he's obviously his parents are obviously Bears fans. So
Bears fan.
children are in many ways a byproduct or groomed, by their parents. We pass
Right.
our preferences on to our children, good or bad, right? It can
Hmm.
be uh, athletic activity, or it could be racism, or it could be whatever it is. We pass those values on to our kids. Um, Narcissists in many ways see their own children as a product of themselves. So what happens is that they put pressure on their kids to perform in whatever realm that is. Yes, the Bears. The problem with that is that there's unnecessary stress and strain on children. So a lot of times you will see children of narcissists as incredibly high achievers because they
But
are working so hard to please their parents. They're working so hard to please that narcissistic parent because they want to be good enough. The narcissistic parent keeps moving the bar. They keep setting the bar higher and higher and higher. Oh, that's great, but next time I want you to score 3 goals.
but
Next time
doesn't
I want
that, like, not even with sports, but just in life and period, doesn't that go at the old adage that kids are supposed to be better than their parents?
Yeah, but I mean, think about how it's achieved, right? Like you can be, because I mean, I'm a parent who wants my kids to have more than I've had, do better than I have. I'm the type of mentor where I want younger lawyers to do more than I have, and that's true investment. But
That's
that's not at the expense
mm-hmm.
of tearing someone down, right? The difference is with a narcissistic parent, when there's a loss, it's not a place of
Mm-hmm.
support. It's a place of like, this is your fault. You should have done better. Why didn't you
Right.
score a goal? Why didn't you pass the test? Why didn't you work harder? You're not, in other words, you're not good enough for me unless you're doing and performing in a way that makes me
At
look
high
good
level.
or makes me better. So that's the difference. The lesson, one of the things that I tell my own children, for example, is I just care that you try. Win
Right.
or lose, I just want you to give it your all. I
Right.
don't care about the outcome. I care about the effort because it's the
Effort.
effort that's going to make a difference at the end of the day, right?
So I get what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off, but I get what you're saying.
You meant
So
to cut me off.
now we huh?
I said you meant to cut me off.
What? Dana, stop. Talk then, Dana. Damn it. Go ahead.
No, 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 it's fine. It's fine. You got the
No,
church.
I was,
They changed our names. They changed the color scheme to match your outfit. Like it's all about you.
it's not about me.
I'm
This
just
is
a
never
tour.
about me. This is about, informing the black community. That's all I'm here for. I'm just a pawn in God's work. That's all I am. But what I was getting ready to say, on the outside of it, when you say you can't be this, you can't be that, the outside world, social media, the outside end. And when I bring this in, sports wise, you have Michael Jordan and his two sons. You have LeBron James and his two sons. And they are two high, the pinnacle athletes that we ever seen in our life. You know, how does that, when you're not being a parent, like you're not being a narcissistic parent, putting it, because I can't be as great as my dad, but the outside world puts that pressure on you. For Jeffrey,
Shouts out to Jeffrey. He just got arrested.
yeah, Jeffrey just got arrested.
Oh, Jack.
Jeffrey and his other son, and then you got
Yeah.
Bronny and you have his other son. um like the pressures of just being these children of these, I
Super
guess, superstars,
megastar.
superstars of
Absolutely.
the NBA.
Yeah.
The pressure that you deal with on the outside world. Your dad is not saying, I want you to be greater than I want you to be greater than me, but in the back of the mind, society has to accept you to be as great as them, which possibly could never, it could be, but it might not be.
Well, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, it becomes children of stars, no matter
And
what.
it's Cosby. Oh, I'm not getting into no murders on here, Black Mob football, and I'm not getting into none of that.
I mean, there's always pressure to perform, in the shoes of your parents. Um, when you're
But
dealing
that's
with
not like you and I, David. That's not like you and I.
no, it's not. But it's what it comes down to is in how it's played out. Because what happens if you don't meet that criteria, right? Jeffrey Marcus, I mean, let's be real, right?
Yeah, Jeffrey and Marcus never reached that potential.
Correct. But the point is that it's fine. I remember Brian McKnight has gotten into it recently with his sons because
Right.
they were complaining that their dad doesn't love them and all that. Of course, they have gotten into music. BJ and Nico have gotten into music.
I've heard an interview with BJ.
Yep, yep. And so, but once again, right? You may not necessarily follow in your parents' footsteps. The difference between, and that's just living up to the legacy that has been placed before you. Either you embrace that, like a Kate Hudson who followed in Goldie Hawn's footsteps and did her own thing, um, or you
Or,
don't, which
or
is
you
fine.
get Joe Jellybean, whose son surpassed him. Rest in peace, Kobe.
Yeah. Somebody's talking about Will Smith. Correct. Will Smith's kids whipping hair back and forth and
We're
karate
not even
kicking it.
going to bring Will Smith up on this show
Oh, we're not.
because Jada Pinkett is spiritualizing to be an old bald headed hoochie right now. We're not going to bring that up.
But it's not even August. Like we can't talk about them in August, but it's September and it's about to
Yeah,
be October.
that's a different story. We'll bring you back about that.
Sure, but when it comes to bringing it back to a narcissist perspective, when it comes to parenting, narcissists see everything as an affront or a reflection of themselves. So it doesn't
Hmm.
matter. And that's why they are so controlling, for example. They're controlling of their children, they're controlling of their friends. They don't want you to be in their circle and embarrass them, um, or do anything that's an affront to them. They get, and that's why they're so easily offended because they're insecure. The ego is very fragile, and so these are all the ways in which a narcissist will react, because they're constantly checking to see personally if they're offended. And that's one way to tell. For example, if you're dealing with a narcissist, they're always trying to control you. They're always trying to judge you. They got opinions about everything, but they lack experience in those areas, right? They want to be
Right.
relationship experts, but they haven't really dated in their adult life. Um, they want to talk about or be an expert about things that they really don't have any knowledge of or experience in. Those are elementary or evidentiary of somebody who may or may not be a narcissist.
Okay, so um, and when you just brought up a relationship, they never had an adult relationship in their life. So now when they have this adult relationship, what I was told, your success is her success, and her success is your success. So do narcissists get jealous? Because the fact is, like, say the partner's moving along,
Yeah,
but you're still stagnant. You're still waiting on your run, but
yeah.
you're not moving. You're moving. They're moving. You're not moving.
Narcissists are competitive by nature, right? Everything is an affront to them. So, I mean, one thing when you're encountering narcissists, they will be attracted to you as a friend, as a coworker, as a lover, because of all of your great things. You're amazing. You're handsome. You're beautiful. You're smart. You're intelligent. You're funny. You're personable. Whatever it is, they will be drawn to you in whatever way. You've got the relationship with the boss. You know, you have some benefit that they want to emulate, that they appreciate, that they admire. Eventually, they end up hating what they love. And so
Right.
they use that to tear you down and control you. People who are in romantic relationships with narcissists, there's a reason why many people who kind of get taken by narcissists or become codependents of narcissists, they tend to have a whole lot going on for them. They're doing amazing things, they're good looking, they're talented, because that's attractive to the narcissist. If a narcissist can land somebody who's on the ball, it makes
Mhm.
their stock go up. And so
Trophy
they're,
wife,
huh?
trophy,
Trophy
almost a
wife,
trophy
trophy
wife, trophy
husband,
husband.
balling, all that, right? That is what a narcissist gets excited about. Because I'm associated now with somebody who is dope, who's doing amazing
Right.
things, and they want me, right? But over
And
time, they become they become jealous of those things because they see your star rising, they see your
mhm.
star climbing, and yep, they drain you. Ava said they drain your ass. It's uh they see your energy, they see it being positive and amazing, but they want to tear that down, they want to control that, because what they don't want you to do is see yourself without them. They don't A narcissist doesn't want you to outgrow them. A narcissist does not want you to outgrow them. So what they're going to do is they're going to create mechanisms over time, right? It's a grooming process, it's a tearing down process. Can we talk about like our most infamous groomer this week, our most infamous narcissist? Um,
Go ahead, Robert. Bring them down.
you know, did you say Robert?
Yeah, that's what you about to go at.
I mean, I'm just saying, but it's a process that happens over time. So yeah, before you burn all your Chocolate Factory CDs, I know y'all listening to it one more time. Um, and I'm from Chicago, so there's that. But
But I want to stop you right there because this is something. When I was riding, I was listening to Sway in the morning, and a young lady from Chicago called and said, us from Chicago, Chicago wins. We all knew this.
yeah, we did. Oh,
It was just the
yeah,
world didn't know
the world
this.
didn't know it. Yeah, I mean it's true. Uh,
Kenwood High, he pulling up to Kenwood
Kenwood,
High.
absolutely. Yeah, R. Kelly would pull up to Kenwood High. He would pull up at the Rock and Roll McDonald's downtown. Um, and at the time, when I was younger, I thought it was like, seeing a star. Like if you want to see a star, right? But I didn't
Mhm.
realize that. And people from Chicago remember North Pier, not to be confused with Navy Pier, but North Pier was a place that tweens and teenagers could hang out, before they were 21. Arcades and just really innocent fun. But R. Kelly knew the spots that teenagers would be hanging out in, and so but very much a narcissist, right? And in many ways, I would probably classify him as a sociopath,
I was gonna say
particularly.
sociopath.
Yeah, I mean, he had an STD that he was knowledgeable of and infected people knowingly. That's the sociopathic element of his narcissism, where you don't care how you hurt people. You don't
Right.
care that you're injuring people. But narcissists very similarly, because I do think he's both. They want to control their environment because their ego is very fragile, and we all know, just from the R. Kelly story. And he's not the only one. He's just a famous example, but the traits are
Well,
are, are very classic.
well, you have him, you have Bill, you have Woody Allen, you have so many other people that went through this because I think like the era of music back in the 90s, early 2000s, that was kind of like the rape era.
Well, we don't. I mean, we can continue to talk about rapey topics. I think
We never would do that.
I think it's fame is ripe for grooming narcissists because it's telling everybody that your value is either your talent and or your ego. And so
Talent,
people get wrapped
ego,
up in all
money,
that. Yeah, absolutely. And
and you're
so,
never told no.
yeah, never being told no, people enabling you. And that's what R. Kelly, for example, and Bill Cosby and others exploited for their gain. They knew that there were people who just wanted to know them or be near them, and they exploited that for their own gain.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could talk about for days because at the end of the day, me as a human being, I feel like everybody in that circle should be locked the fuck up. That's just me. Everybody,
But it was
parents
a
of the
lot of people.
children, parents of the children, managers, road managers,
It was a lot of
studio
people.
people,
It was a lot of
lock
people
them the
coming and
fuck
going.
up.
Um, I mean, a lot of people got paid off. A lot of people were enablers. That whole, I mean, it was, as a lawyer, I understand the racketeering aspect of it because there were a lot of people involved in making that operation, satiating this man's desires, sexual or not, and his whims, making that happen in different states, in different places, with different people, and just facilitating that, and or turning a blind eye to what people already knew, was what that was going down.
Right. Okay, so we went there. Now I know you said something earlier that you wanted to go into how to break down and get away from a narcissist, something in those words that you said earlier. So, how is it like? I think the thing, highly narcissistic people, they hate seeing others being happy.
This is true.
True.
Yeah, absolutely. uh, Narcissists go through what they call the discard phase, and you can Google, the different stages of narcissism and how it works. But there's a discard and a devalue phase. So once a narcissist has decided, or you've decided that they can't get anything else from you, um, you flip into being this awful person. You're a terrible person. Once again, one of the things that narcissists lack, in addition to empathy, is accountability. A
Hmm.
narcissist will never say, "Hey, look, it was my fault. I did it. I was wrong." It's always someone else's fault. So
Right.
that's a classic way to determine whether or not you're dealing with a narcissist, is if you're dealing with somebody who can never admit that they're wrong, who can never apologize, who can never own the things that they do and kind of sit in that truth. But once you've ended things, whether it's a coworker or a lover or a spouse or a friend, they go through the devaluing phase, which means that what they want to do is, it makes them feel better to tear you down and say,
Right.
it's your problem. This person was awful. Even if you broke up with them, even if you left them, or even if you told them, this is what I need in this friendship, this relationship, the narcissist will always make it your fault, make it about you, um, until they find what they call a supply. Narcissists need an endless supply of admiration and affection, and people to be like, "You're amazing, you're great," fans. Narcissists
Right.
need an endless supply of fans. And so until they get a new fan, they focus on you and tearing you down. Um, Narcissists are motivated and act on getting a rise out of you. So that's where you'll see the petty. That's where you'll see the poking. That's where you'll see the people being antagonistic with you because they're trying to get a reaction out of you.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, a narcissist will know um, where to push your buttons and how to hurt you because they've gotten close to you, right? They've charmed their way into learning a lot about you. And so, the best thing you can do with a narcissist or to get away from a narcissist is to go no contact, is to have no interaction if you can help it. If you have children with them, for example, or some other dependent, if they're your parent, some other dependent relationship, have very little contact as possible. Engage as little as possible. It's not about don't argue. Uh,
Right.
it's not up for debates or discussion. It's really matter of fact. This is where we're picking up the kids. This is what we're doing for this. I recommend keeping activities and things separate if you're sharing children because
Mhm.
there's no positivity there, and they're always kind of looking for an in, particularly if they feel like you are a valuable supply. You're somebody that makes them look good, but you got away, right? God forbid you have parted ways with them and have moved on and have done better.
Right.
Um, have done better. Doing better for yourself is an affront to a narcissist once they are done with you. They can't stand to see you shine without them because
Right.
it makes them look like the bad guy or woman.
Right. So this is probably like I'm always open. So this is where I'm coming with mine because my situation before was like with a narcissist, and at time or fully times it was like uh she would say, I got this event tonight, and I would go. And then I would say, well, I got this event next week with my people. Oh, I'm
And
not
they
going with
confused.
you.
And they confused.
Like,
She wasn't down. Yeah. It's all
well,
about
why
them.
you not? Yeah, it's like why you not going? And it was to the point, like anybody watching that knows sports, I felt like Manti Te'o was like, this chick is invisible. Like, because whenever I show up, my people like, yo, where your girl at? I'm like, I gotta make this excuse up. Gotta do this. Gotta do that. Like, and that was the crazy part. But the minute I stated, I'm not going to your people's event. I just want to relax. It became a whole fucking another fucking issue,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
right? And that's just from my experience of what I dealt with, and it was just like I didn't know. I got lost. I was like, what the fuck is going on? This ain't me. This can't be fucking healthy.
No, I get it. I mean, in my experience and in the spirit of transparency, I mean, I've dated narcissists before. I believe I was married to one. Um, and in many ways, and people who know me well know that I'm a supportive person. I'm about, if you look at my page and just different things that I do.
Then I already know you've been here twice. You've been in my house twice.
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. But it's about showing up, right? And when you come across good people, you're just there. It's like, what can I do to support you? I love
Right.
what you're doing, so I'm down. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. What can I do to help you shine? I'm a big
Right.
proponent of that on my show. Uh, I talk about women supporting women because I don't think we do that enough. And somebody told me one time, he was like, I mean, if you ask me to do it, I'll do it. But I didn't. But you don't. But you have to ask me. And I'm like, well, what about this friend of yours? And he was like, well, I mean, I do that automatically. She doesn't have to ask me to do anything, but I share and show up for her automatically, right? That's how you know you're not dealing with somebody who's right. I'm not saying they're necessarily a
Right.
narcissist, but that is a narcissistic trait of really being all about them. Because part of it is, right, if you are not narcissistic, you're gonna feel awkward about accepting things that you wouldn't necessarily do yourself.
Right.
That a narcissist would be like, oh, sweat me, you know, love me, but I am not gonna do those things for you. I'm not gonna show up in the way that you're showing up for me. I'm going to enjoy all of this benefit, but they lack reciprocity. A
Yes,
narcissist
they do.
lacks reciprocity because it's self-absorbed. There's no
Mhm.
reciprocity in self-absorption. And so that's one way to tell if you're dealing with somebody who is narcissistic, because it's really all about them. The things that you do naturally for them, you have to ask for in terms of reciprocity. And that's a
This is true.
problem. Isn't that right, Leafy
And
Shirt?
and the thing is, I was getting ready to bring up because when I was doing a promo video earlier, and I saw a video earlier. It was two men that came out their house, and the paper boy threw the paper out, and they both named were Tony, and they said, "Tony, I need to talk to you," and it's neighbors. So he walked to the other neighbor. He walked to the grass line of the house. The other neighbor never moved out his front lawn, and he had to walk all the way over there to him. So that broke it down to me like narcissists will never meet you fucking halfway.
They won't. They won't meet
You
you in your
gotta come
moment.
to them straight up.
They won't meet you in your moment. They won't meet you where you are. They won't meet you in your need, because once again, it's all about them. If it benefits them, right? If you are in distress and there's a channel NBC is NBC News is available, then yeah, they're gonna show up and here I am to save the day. I'm here to save you, Rod, and be on camera, and I want to put it on social media, right? But if it's the things that you don't get credit for, if it's the things that nobody cares about, if it's the unsexy things, um,
Nobody wants to do it.
nobody cares. Nobody, it doesn't
Right.
matter to people.
But that's the society we live in now because if it's not on Facebook, if it's not on Snapchat, if it's not on Instagram, it didn't happen.
I'll tell you this. I think we are raising narcissists. One of the things that I can't stand um, are participation trophies and goodie bags. Because
Fuck
what that
them. I hate participation trophies. So, I don't mean to cut you off. I
you
play
meant to cut me
sports.
off.
Anybody that fucking plays sports, there's no such thing as fucking second place.
No, there's, except in the Olympics, we call it the silver medal. However, that's the first loser. But what I'm saying is, I agree. I think that you're teaching people to always think they're great, and sometimes you need to just sit in the loss. You're teaching people to always think they're great, and sometimes you should just sit in the loss because there's lessons to be learned in losing. um you're not going to always be great. Things are not going to always go your way. You're not going to always win, and that's one of the things that I think is, it's a thing that I try to share with my own children and kids that I mentor. Losing sucks, but there's lessons in the valley.
There's
And
lessons.
absolutely. And so this
There's
whole, like,
motivation.
yeah,
Motivation.
are you mad at your loss? How about you do better? How about you work harder? How about you, train harder? Because that's
Right.
when I played sports in high school, and my freshman year our teams sucked,
Mm-hmm.
but sophomore year we kicked ass because we
Right.
lost so much and got so tired and so frustrated with losing. We were like, we don't ever want this to happen again. So we got in the lab, we trained, we worked out, we drilled, and we started to win. We went to state my senior year. And so my point is that there are lessons in loss. There are lessons in losing. But the problem with a narcissist is that your ego is so fragile, you can't even take the thought or bear the idea of losing. There's a perfectionism aspect of things. And don't get me wrong, many people want to be perfectionists in many different ways, but a narcissist can't let go of that. They can't deal with failure, they can't process failure. And I think in our world of raising children to go to a birthday party when it's not their birthday, but expecting a goodie bag, expecting
Right.
something for them,
Right.
this is about giving to little Pam. It's not
Right.
about you. You're here to
Nobody has
celebrate.
babies named Pam though, Dana.
You're here to celebrate Leroy. Leroy. Show
Rest
enough.
in peace. Rest in peace, Julius. I can't forget you. I forgot your last name. Shit, because we talked about this the other day. Julius, rest in peace.
Yes. It's about being stepping outside of yourself and celebrating someone else, showing up for someone else. Hey, listen, we're not here for the goodie bags. We're here because it's so and so's birthday, and we're showing up for him or her.
Good
Uh,
example of Black Marvel, Trump and Kanye.
oh yeah,
Good
I mean,
example. Good
I
example.
mean, the lists of narcissists, unfortunately, in this society, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. I mean, that's what's happening, and people are emulating that. Like they see the antics of these people and they idolize them. That's what's scary to me is that people see what Trump and Kanye do. There was a lot of buzz about Kanye's most recent performance in Chicago at Soldier Field with the house and the craziness. Some people think that stuff is dope and wanna emulate it, and that's what's scary to me is that people can't see through the ego and the narcissism.
Well, you got to see through it, one way or the other. But I think what I was getting ready to say when you was like, second, like, one of my favorite players, Kevin Durant, and he always says that number two is his motivation being drafted by behind Greg Oden. That's his motivation. So you can
Explain
use
that.
it, huh?
Explain that. The number two.
That he was drafted number two behind Greg Oden. Greg Oden was drafted one, and he like
Right.
I should have been one, but he used that as motivation. Now, in my opinion, is probably the best basketball player on the planet of Earth right now. But some others will disagree. But I'm not here to debate a sports show that comes in. We're doing that in November, uh, so I'm not here to debate that
Can I come?
tonight.
Can I
But
come for that one too?
Miss Dan, you always are welcome in my house. When am I going to be welcome in your house? That's going to be the question.
You want to come? Well, my show, the show on TV, you got to come to the studio. But we'll talk because I'd love to have you
You
on.
ain't said nothing but a goddamn word. Getting to Chicago.
Come on, come on, let's go.
But we've reached that point of the show
Oh,
where it's time somebody told me something wild. So it's get ready to be time for our daily, weekly, I'll be damned.
here we go. Lord have
Uh,
mercy.
yes, I'll be damned is ready to roll. Um, Let me mute my so we can do this. I'll be damned coming on now, and this is based out of Atlanta, GA tonight.
All right, my ATL folks.
Good evening. It's time for another episode of I'll Be Damn. So today we got a person coming from this is in Atlanta. This is in Atlanta. This is in Atlanta, GA. So she wrote into me and said, "Hey Rod, I want to tell you my story." Okay, so the story goes like this. So I was on a first date with this guy at a restaurant that recently opened. I was excited to go to the restaurant because it was a chic modern spot with a loungy vibe, if that made any sense. And they were big on featuring local artists because I'm one anyway. Anyway, things were going well, so I thought, until my date made a weird face. Is everything okay? Man, what kind of place is this? It's a whole bunch of cake boys, translation, homosexual men in there. It's a new restaurant, and what dudes are you referring to anyway? So he decides to point over there and right there. Not really certain why that matters when he's here with me anyway. Didn't know that a couple of gay dudes sprinkle in this big restaurant who aren't even checking for you was such a big deal. They're not even showing the game, and they have all these TVs in this place. So I have a blank stare on my face. Well, this isn't a sports bar, and we didn't come to watch any games. Well, at least I didn't. So how about we continue to enjoy the evening without focusing our attention on outside factors? Factors. Let's get it in here. I could have ended the date at that moment, but I tried to lighten things up instead because he seemed uncomfortable. What's the big effing deal about a couple gay men in a restaurant? That's what I thought. He said he wanted to go to a sports bar that was 30 minutes away after dinner for drinks, and like the good sport that I am, I oblige. We
I
hopped.
didn't get that. Could you try again?
Sorry, sorry. We hopped in his car because he drove, and even though I didn't want to go, we headed to the sports bar. We were only on the road for 10 minutes when he took an unfamiliar exit off the interstate, and I just assumed he knew some sort of back way. That was until he pulled into a residential neighborhood. Where are we? He said he had used the bathroom really bad from all that drinking we did at the restaurant. You barely had anything to drink to be spending that much time complaining about gay men or whatever. And he said he had to make a quick run inside. I said I'll wait, but he asked that I come inside. I mean, like for what? You got a shit or something? Anyway, I went inside with him. Fucking rookie mistake. I waited in the living room. He grabbed the remote to turn on the TV, and I told him that wouldn't be necessary since we would be leaving soon. He then asked me to show me around his house, and I declined by saying, "Don't you have to go to the bathroom?" He went to the bathroom and sat next to me on the couch. When he returned, we were talking briefly, and then he said he'd rather watch a movie instead. Did he just hit me with the Netflix and movie chill? The trickery at its finest. He proceeded to turn on some movie, and I started to get pissed. I told him to take me home, and then he suddenly wrapped his arms around me to give a big hug. Why are you hugging me, sir? He stared into my eyes. Mind you, I had the most confused look on my face. Out of nowhere, he pressed his lips against my forehead. If you don't get the hell off of me with that best man moves, bro, you ain't even take digs and I ain't near long. That shit doesn't work in real life. I was way through. He took me home and did the same dumbass, non so central best man forehead kiss move as he stood outside my doorstep. Please stop, sir. Please just stop. He looked at me like some sad puppy as he stood in the doorway, anticipating that I would invite him in. But I closed the door in his face instead. Poof, pow, be gone. You gotta do better than that, man. I be damn. See you next week.
You're mute.
That's the shit that happens. Break that down for me, Dana.
And it was a first date, right? That was my assumption.
That was the first date.
I mean, just from a safety perspective, I always recommend that people drive themselves just because you never know, your first date, you don't know who you're meeting. And you could be catfished. And I'm not overly, I mean, there's some people who are, I think, a little bit overly paranoid when it comes to dating for various reasons, right? People come with all kinds of traumas and past experiences, but I tend to be a bit more trusting than some of my own friends when it comes to dating. But even I believe that you should always provide your own transportation on initial dates because you haven't built that trust up with someone yet.
Mhm.
So you have no idea what their intentions of that date are. Um, there are some people who have homophobic values, and so seeing other people of a different sexual orientation, even just seeing them or encountering them, um, becomes a trigger, which I think is a bit problematic for us people of color, because if we want people to accept us, we must also, in many ways, I believe, be accepting of other people. Um, but yeah, I mean, this guy was clearly manipulating this woman and not being direct with his intentions, but wanting to manipulate her into the vulnerability that he wanted, which was to
Right.
get her alone, to get her home, to get her into a place that's beyond just food. And so obviously, I'm thankful, like someone said, I'm thankful that he actually, took her home or dropped her off, because many times that doesn't happen. And that's the
Yeah.
point that I want people to take a moment to understand or to appreciate. You ladies can control that situation, and men too, right? You can insist for first dates that people, let's meet in a public place and let's all get there ourselves, so that if either party is not feeling next steps and whatnot, everybody can get out, the way that they want to. You subject yourself to a stranger when you give over that power. And I think a lot of it also just kind of comes down to communication. If this man was interested, uh, he probably should have communicated that. He probably could have said, hey, but he also kind of knew, hey, I want to take you home and just give you the business. I want to holla, 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 holla at you, girl. Come here, girl. Come here. He knew that what he wanted, his lustful feelings, were probably more than what she was ready for, which is
Right.
why he was trying the manipulation tactic of like, let me kind of force the issue. Let me put you in a situation where you don't have many options, where you don't have a choice, um, to take advantage of you. And so it's a testament to just being careful and being guarded and being able to just control the things that you do control. Um, what's funny to me in some ways is these are sometimes some of the people who will have a Google number for dating purposes, but will ride in a car with somebody. And it's kind of like, if you're going through all that security, at the outset, uh, you should be more cognizant as well, just about how you allow yourself to be in vulnerable situations. But it happens to the best of us. And so that's why I just think it's important to just be um, communicative in your interests and your intents, so
Ava,
that
I don't know if
everybody's on
that
the
was
same page.
him. I don't know if that was him, Ava.
Maybe, girl. Watch out. What? Hey, girl. Hey, watch out.
It was in Atlanta, so I don't know what the fuck was going on.
Listen, all kinds of things happen in the A. I love Atlanta, but that part.
Got you. I got you, man. But thank you for coming again, Dana.
Always. My pleasure, my friend. All good.
And I'll definitely see you probably one more again
For
before
sure.
season two is done. We can always reach out, but it's time for me to go to the shop and come on,
You should.
Dana.
You should come
Hey,
join me on
Dana.
Dana Being Dana. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. We are planning our 2022 year. And we're really excited about all the stuff that we've got going on and stuff that we have coming up. So I think narcissism is such an important topic because it's easy to fall into the gaslighting, the web, the labyrinth, that narcissists weave and try to catch people up in. So um, it's one reason why I did a show on it. It's why I enjoy talking about it, because I didn't know when I found myself um, caught up in a narcissistic environment, and it's just important to be aware of how you can be manipulated, how people can gaslight you. So I just tell people to trust your instincts, trust your guts. You'll know, you know when something doesn't feel right, when something doesn't sound right, when something's not right. So the more you can lean into that understanding, the more you can trust yourself in that space, the better off you will be. There are a ton of books and uh, self-help mechanisms when it comes to narcissism and identifying that before
Right.
it's too late. Some narcissists go to the extreme of putting you in financial strain, emotional strain, economic strain. And I just want people to avoid those pitfalls. So if we get anything else from that today, is look up the signs of narcissistic personality disorder and know how to identify them in all aspects of your life.
Got you. Where can I know how to reach you? But how can they reach you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Dana Being Dana. I'm on Instagram at Dana Being Dana. So please check us out. We're on Naperville Community Television, nctv17.com. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. We're always looking for guests and show ideas. and we're planning into 2022 right now. So we love talking about all the topics that we find to be important, and narcissism is one of them. The human connection is what we're all about, and there are so many things that people are going through these days. So, please check us out, and we'd love to stay in touch. We love HBCU network. We love the lounge and what y'all are doing. We can lounge all day. We could lounge all day because I think you guys are doing incredible work, and I love how you connect all these HBCU folks, these HBCU single folks. So it's all good stuff. So thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, you always welcome. My is my house, but you always welcome.
All right.
Um, I will definitely see y'all next week with another episode of I Be Damned. And next week we have a licensed therapist coming on, and we're talking about depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolarness. We're talking about all of that next week. Next Wednesday on at 9 p.m. as usual. But check out Miss V, Ask a Black Woman, where they're talking about mental health as well
So
on
important.
Sunday at
So
8
important.
p.m. Eastern Central Time. Always thank you for coming. Myself, Ava didn't produce the show tonight. Brother For Real did it. Thank you, Brother For Real, for doing this tonight for me. Dana, thank you for coming on again. I got to send you some flowers over there, Chicago.
Oh,
In exchange for some deep dish pizza.
got it. You got it. All good.
So definitely, thank you for coming out once again. Thank you for everybody for watching. Hopefully that mental health week, yeah, it's basically mental health week on both shows next week.
It's important.
Totally.
It's important for our people. I can't underestimate the value of mental health. Trauma is a real thing, and our people, Black folks, go through it more than many, and so it's so important. So can't wait to tune in and check out the shows this week. It's going to be great.
But I may be tuning in Saturday for a special Amsterdam talk live with the chicks from Horror Stories. I'll pin you if I have it on Saturday. It might be a special Amsterdam talk on Saturday with the chicks from Horror Stories. They have a
Are you saying
podcast.
horror stories?
Yeah, Horror Stories. They have a podcast. The ladies from Horror Stories.
Horror or horror? Wait.
Horror. WHORES.
Oh.
Horror.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it might be a special edition on Saturday. I don't know, but I'll let you know if you see the promo drop with the ladies from Horror Stories. Then we're in here.
Bring them out. Bring them out.
How they've been soliciting and doing things. But thank you, Dana Michelle, for coming. I'm Rod, Ava, Brother For Real. Dana, get him some Garrett popcorn too.
I got it. Garrett's popcorn, deep dish pizza. You got it. Just no.
Shout out to my brothers that don't, shout out to Cabrini Green as always. But thank you, Dana, for coming. I'm Rod, Ava, Brother For Real, producing tonight. This is Amsterdam Talk. See you Sunday for Ask a Black Woman, where we doing mental health all through the lounge next week. Amsterdam Talk and Ask a Black Woman are about mental health. So tune in.
Good times.
Next week. We'll see you. Rod, Dana Michelle, signing off.
Thank you. Good night.